What did you think about the character, the Uncle Shay Shay character? 'Cause he didn't come on the show doing that with the black and mild and the do-rag and Hennessy and all that stuff.
When he first started it?
Yeah, he didn't come on with that at first when he first got on the show. So when all that came about, what you think about that too?
Okay, it's better for you guys to respond to that than me, but I was still very close with Stephen A. at that point, and he did not love it.
No, yeah.
Okay, and I defer to you.
Nobody did, so
we'll
leave it there.
What's going on there, guys? We back with another one. We got Benzino calling out Shannon Sharpe for playing like he's up to date on hip-hop and that he's been following it like that, and we're gonna get into that video now. We don't have to show the Shannon Sharpe Jim Jones thing again, but there was one part in that exchange where Jim Jones said name a Nas record, which should have been easy. You know, you should have basically said pick an album at that point. You could say One Love from Illmatic, you could say Street Dreams, or you know, If I Ruled the World from It Was Written. Nas is like Hate Me Now from I Am. Nostradamus, You Owe Me from Nostradamus. Even I'm saying if you just stick with the radio records and things that came on the radio, you should know. You know, Still Mad at Ether, Got Yourself, One Mic. I mean, they're easy to rattle off and you don't even have to look them up. You just should know that. If you're a certain age and you were claiming hip-hop. Now, some people don't know who none of these rappers are if they don't listen to the genre, but Shannon is portraying like he's entrenched in it, and you know, he took up for Nas, and some people was criticizing him because they was like he should have just rattled names off to make Jim Jones look stupid, you know, to kind of strengthen his argument, which he didn't really need an argument. I mean, nobody in their right mind compared the two. But let's get into what Benzino had to say. Let's check it out.
Shannon Sharpe. Shannon. Shannon Sharpe. First, congratulations on Club Shay Shay. But you know what, Shannon? After watching you and Jim go at it, something tells me, Shannon, something tells me you're not as hip-hop as you trying to play to be. Now, you had an amazing college career. You went to Savannah State, all-black college, but you grew up on a farm and you was raised by your grandmother. I wonder if your grandmother was really allowing you to listen to hip-hop or really get into the hip-hop culture. And listen, I'm not saying that there's anything the matter with that. Kept you out of trouble. Man, I was a major fan when you was at Denver. Your brother Sterling was dope at Green Bay. I mean, y'all should have y'all flowers when it comes to football and athletics. But Shannon, I'm gonna have to pull your card on hip-hop. How much hip-hop are you, Shannon? You know, Jim said something that stuck out. He said, I bet you didn't know one Nas, you couldn't recite one Nas lyric, and you didn't. And I think like the problem right now with these podcasts is a lot of you guys really ain't with the culture like you're trying to play that you are. You can ask all the questions and dress fly and look, you know what I'm saying? But how much hip hop were you growing up, Shannon Sharpe? I need to know. And it's no disrespect. Don't take it personal, man. But I need to know when you was growing up in you was growing up in Georgia on a farm. Something tells me, Shannon, you're not as hip-hop as you claim to be. Seeing your partner, Stephen A. Smith, same thing. You guys can talk about hip-hop subjects and make lots of money, and that's dope. But are y'all, like, pulling the wool over people's eyes? Because that's being done a lot right now. These days, with the internet, get some bread, get a producer, really make it look like you're something that you're not. So I just want to know, Shannon Sharpe, how hip-hop are you? Shannon, come on now. And I'm not going to debate and argue because hip-hop, Hip hop flows through my blood like football flows through yours. But how much hip hop are you? That's all.
And, you know, for me, responding to Benzino, I think a lot of podcasts talk about things that they aren't knowledgeable of. If it goes viral, then they're going to talk about it. You know, pretty much like the news does and a lot of television shows we see on TV. People are going to interject, you know, just to have an opinion, to be caught up in that algorithm, and that's all it is. And so Shannon, you know, he inserted himself in there, and he got, you know, a little bit of a relationship with Nas, like we seen him in Queensbridge not too long ago with Nas's brother and his childhood friend and Steve Stout and all that. So they have a little bit of a relationship where they can call each other. But I don't think these guys are in the culture like a Benzino. I mean, Benzino, remember, he was with The Source and all that. And back in the 90s, I remember getting 5 mics, 4 mics, 4.5 mics. It made you want to see what an album was about because it had major credibility. Getting those 5 mics was the stamp of approval for your album, that it was a classic. And it was kind of the barometer that a lot of people used. Now, they got some wrong, you know, during that time. There was a little bit of a bias against the South and Outkast in particular, with their ability, you know, but I think he kind of lost some credibility. I think he dropped an album and he gave it 5 mics, and it was like, oh, okay, you know, that's what they doing now. And so, but prior to that, you know, in the 90s, was like, you know, their word meant so much. And Benzino definitely has been around, you know, in hip hop with the Made Men and all of that. You know, we know how him and Paul Pierce got into it. Him and his crew and Paul Pierce in Boston, where Paul Pierce ended up getting stabbed up and everything. Now people just know him from loving hip hop and everything, but he was a major staple in hip hop with that Source magazine, man. I just wanted to definitely say that. I've even seen Shannon listening to the intro from Nas's King Disease 1. I don't think that video is still on his page because I think he scrubbed some things when he was leaving FS1, if I'm not mistaken, but he was listening to the intro from the first King's Disease driving around one time. And, you know, so I did want to put that out there. So maybe he does know, maybe he just didn't dignify Jim with the response because it didn't need to be elaborated upon. But yeah, I did see Shannon listening to it. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.